On today's show, the Sens season is over after a hard-fought 6-game battle against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
We give our series takeaways and what these playoffs taught us about the Ottawa Senators.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox, no console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Today is Friday, May 2nd, and Pillsy, the Ottawa Senators may have given the Leafs some PTSD, bringing the series back to Ottawa for Game 6. But in the end, it was so close, yet so far in that 6-game set.
And I think that's why it hurts the most, Ross, because as we know, Ottawa Senators fans, it is a roller coaster of emotions. You get to the playoffs, you're absolutely jacked up. You get humbled big time, Game 1. You get close, Game 2. You get close again, Game 3. You survive getting swept in Game 4. Then you give the Leafs a little slice of humble pie, going up 4-0 with 4-0 win, I should say. And then you get close, tying Game 6, 2-2 with 7 minutes left. But ultimately, the Leafs were able to put the Sens away in 6 games. I mean, I think if, Ross, they would have got swept, or if it would have been a gentleman's sweep, I think our emotions would be more of frustration, upset, disappointment. Whereas this, it's more just like disappointment is definitely part of it, but I'm not upset or mad or, not even really frustrated, because this team put forth a great effort and they battled. And the other 3 Eastern Conference series, they finished in 5. The Ottawa Senators at least were able to take this to 6 against all odds.
Yeah, and we'll break down everything we learned about this team in the series, from what the Stars brought, Claude Giroux having a resurgence on the score sheet, and a whole lot more. And there'll be plenty of time for the offseason conversations, the UFAs, the RFAs, what Steve Staios needs to do to make this roster better going into the 2025-26 season. We expect locker cleanout day will be over the weekend, so we'll be able to react to that on Monday's show. But this is kind of a series recap as a whole. And I think that you can't start that without looking at the way that the best players on the Ottawa Senators stepped up in important situations. I think we learned a lot about Tim Stützle as a physical contributor in a series. The world, as Ian Mendez predicted on this show, learned about Jake Sanderson and what he brings on a nightly basis. By the way, he turns 23 this summer, so just entering the prime of his career, had a 19-point improvement in the regular season. But that, to me, is my biggest takeaway, that it hurts, but it's not like the Winnipeg Jets or the Toronto Maple Leafs, where the core is the core, and they've been that way for a number of years and haven't been able to get over the hump. This is a humbling experience for a core that's going to be right back in the mix next season.
And all 3, well, I guess you didn't mention Brady Tkachuk there, so I'll add Brady, the captain, and him, Tim Stützle, and Jake Sanderson are all locked up to long-term, I would say, team-friendly deals. So, the future is very bright for this team. I think if any of those 3 kind of had disappointing playoffs, Ross, it wouldn't be alarming. It would be concerning that, okay, maybe these guys aren't at the level we thought they were so early in their career when it comes to the postseason. And that would have been okay for your first postseason experience. But all 3 of those guys elevated their games in the right times. They all looked great. I mean, for all we know, Brady Tkachuk's probably still dealing with an injury. So if he was able to perform like this at not 100%, that's incredible. Jake Sanderson was the absolute rock on the back end for this team, playing the most minutes easily and being great offensively and defensively, scoring a Game 4 overtime game-winning goal. So, and then Timmy, night in, night out, I thought he was exceptional. The face-offs, he really figured out. He was their best percentage-wise face-off guy of the top 5 guys that took draws. He led the team in hits. He was able to score and get on the score sheet. Otherwise, he was put in tough situations up against the Toronto Maple Leafs top two lines most nights. So I'm really proud of how the top three guys performed in their first postseason debut.
Yeah, well said. We're going to have a lot of interesting conversations at the end of summer when we do our organizational value rankings, because that we know that's the top tier. Obviously, has been for the last, I think, 3-4 years, maybe even. But it's going to be some heated.
I don't know how you organize those three now, Ross. Like before, in other years, it was like, okay, sure, they're the top three, but this guy's number one, this guy's number two, this guy's number three. Then this year we had a debate over who's 2 and 3, but I could see arguments for putting any three of those guys as the number one most valuable guy of this organization.
Yeah, let us know in the comments right now. How would you order Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle? Very, very curious to hear people's opinions on that. You mentioned that it didn't hurt as much. Maybe not hurt's the right word, but you're not disappointed, you're not frustrated. I wonder how much of that is having 7 days to prepare. The Senators faced elimination for 7 days with that extra day off between game 4 and 5. So it was Thursday of last week. They go down 3-0, and Thursday of this week where the series comes to an end. So the boys battle. The boys battled and the boys care. I think those are the two things that as a fan you expect from your team is you want them to be passionate. As Michael Andlauer says, work harder and care more. So the Senators, I think, embodied that. And with only 2 years under new ownership, 1.5 years under Steve Staios as the general manager of this team, 1 season under Travis Green, who I thought grew exponentially as this series went on. Just even how he handled the media. After the first couple of games, he was, calling out the Leafs selling calls and that sort of thing. And throughout the series, it's easier, of course, when you win a couple of games, but I thought he handled himself fantastically last night after the final loss. So I think that going into next season, that the pieces are in place for this organization to have success. There's going to have to be some rubbing out the edges, I guess, or whatever, sharpening the edges, I guess, would be an important thing to get more from the team, because obviously they didn't do enough to get the victory here. But if people are expecting us to come in here and trash the team and say they're brutal this, they're brutal that, it's just not going to happen. The Senators brought this to 6 games. They played the maximum number of home games that were allotted in this series. They got a win for the home fans. Unfortunately, they go 1-2 at home, which is too bad. But they got that important game 4 win at home in overtime. The building was alive. The city was alive. And it's a stepping stone. The Leafs, this was their 9th straight season in the playoffs. Ottawa's first, and hopefully it's the first of at least 9, because I think that this team, this city, this organization is all doing the right things to kind of pull on the rope together. Nobody was, going at each other. Nobody, there was no bad body language on the bench, even when they were down 3-0. And I think that the leadership is in place. The stars are in place, and there's a lot of reasons for optimism going forward. But this one obviously still stings, and there's plenty of series takeaways we got to get to. But you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think those are all good points. And I really liked Brady Tkachuk's post-game presser. You can tell that this guy cared. It hurt so much because he really believed that they could get this done. And he should have believed that they could get this done. They were close. For Leafs fans, hate watching this. First, apologies that Ross and I aren't in full tears or yelling and swearing or cussing out the Leafs. That's probably what you wanted. So apologies. We're not giving you the content you're craving here.
They earned the series win, man.
That's the thing. We're going to take this one on the chin. Ross and I were very confident about this team going into the series. First playoff experience for us at the Locked On Senators podcast too. So we got some lessons to learn as well.
Hey, we came out just as hot as the Sens in game 1, maybe a little undisciplined before the series.
Yeah, maybe a little undisciplined, that's for sure. But we're
act like you've been here before. We haven't.
Yeah, and we're taking it now. We're taking our lumps. But shout out, I will give some Leafs fans credit. We've had a surprising amount of Leafs fans show some class, give respect, say, hey,
handshakes.
We like what the Sens are doing. Good series. And they've said they've appreciated watching us cover this team. So to you classy Leafs fans, we appreciate that. It's either high or low, Ross. Either the Leafs fans are absolute trash or absolute class. So
I think the classy ones know that. And any enormous fan base, like think of the Dallas Cowboys come to mind right away. Like, you just in sheer volume, you're going to have have some of both, but I think the good ones overcompensate knowing that. So shout out a lot of nice Leaf fans, and I sent a couple messages to buddies we went to school with too. And again, it was like the handshake line: you battle, you talk your smack, and then at the end of the game, you say good series. As Linus Ullmark said, he told Anthony Stolarz, "You're a beauty. Good luck in the next round because they're going to need it." That's a Florida Panthers team that just cakewalked over the Tampa Bay Lightning, and obviously the Lightning injuries all came out today, and we expect the Senators injury list to come out tomorrow. The Senators just posting on social media. They will have their locker clean out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So follow us on Twitter at Sens Central for the latest on that. And then we'll break down everything we learned from that end of season garbage bag day, as they call it, where everyone gets all their stuff and cleans out their lockers. We'll break that down on Mondays, Locked On Senators. We're not going anywhere either. We'll have shows Monday through Friday, 5 days a week here on Locked On Senators, everywhere you get podcasts, including on YouTube, through the draft, through free agency, into the summer, and then we'll go obviously down to 3 shows a week through July and August, and some of September and some of July, first 2 weeks full time. And that's where we'll get back to the Ring of Honors. We'll have some great interviews for you throughout the summer. This fan base is engaged. This fan base is as passionate as they come, and we'll be here with you every step of the way, because at the end of the day, as Thomas Chabot would say, we're diehard fans, and we love this team. And let's break down the series after this. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. You got endless entertainment. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from all your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney+, Max, and more. I've got an Amazon Fire TV stick. I use it every day to watch sports, Sportsnet, MLB app, and more. And it allows me to play Xbox exclusive games like Starfield. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and a compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Club EG. A little ironic because the Sens are pulling out their golf sticks, and I bet you that they're in with Club EG, because whether you're male, female, junior, senior, good golfer, or you like smacking it around the rough like me, Club EG has something for you. You can purchase a membership and play over 60 great courses that Club EG partners with in Ottawa. Join a golf league, go on a golf trip, or play in the Ottawa Sun Scramble, a 2-person scramble championship. It's completely up to you which path you take with Club EG. Check out clubeg.golf for more information and to learn about so many great options to get you playing more golf this summer. With 60 great courses through Club EG, you have so many options, and their tournaments, leagues, and trips, they're all top-notch. You don't have to be a member to take part in any of their events, leagues, or trips, but if you want to become a member to play their 60 great courses day in and day out, go check out their early bird special right now at clubeg.golf. All right, Pilsy, so it is the day after. It's Friday, it's May 2nd. The Senators got to May, played a game, and it was 4-2, just like the series was. I feel like in the postcast, we didn't even really break down the game itself at all. So what were your thoughts watching that one develop?
I mean, the Leafs going up 2-0 was very concerning, Ross. That was giving me some massive anxiety. But Brady Tkachuk, great play to get that tip to make it 2-1. And then the Sens, it was a tight checking game the rest of the game. There was a lot of posts hit by both teams. Both teams had their big chances but couldn't get it. David Prong with looking back, Ross, that was a wild play for David Perron to make, because especially when they showed the reverse angle, 7.5 minutes left, you're down 2-1. He goes to the corner and he sends a backhand shot head high from behind the net. I mean, obviously it worked out. It hits Stolarz in the back of the head and goes in. But if that misses, he's probably clearing that out of the offensive zone accidentally. And then you've got a whole issue there. So it worked out great. But fortunately, the Sens weren't able to push it to overtime. I really thought tying it up like that, getting the momentum, holding the line, getting to overtime was going to happen there. But credit to Max Pacioretty, a savvy vet. He finds some soft ice and traffic in front. He finds a way to score. And then William Nylander gets the empty netter to seal the deal there.
Yeah, the defensive zone coverage on that game-winning goal was questionable at best. I also had some people mentioning players and situations that they didn't like. We'll discuss that on Monday because I don't want to jump to any conclusions before we see the injury list. I don't want to call a guy out and be like, oh, wait, he was playing with a broken leg. So I want to get the context of how this all unfolded before we get on that. So I'm gonna focus on what we do know, and that's that this game almost deserved overtime. It felt like battling back from down 2-0 like they did in game 2 in Toronto. Obviously, it doesn't mean you're going to win the game. Max Domi scored the winner in that one, but it showed kind of the resiliency that Ottawa showed all series, where whether they're down in a game, down in a series, down in a period, they're going to fight until the very end. It was ironic, though, that the Senders score the goal after maybe the worst power play I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was bad.
Bad,
Yeah, that was
I think would have
seconds
been an
after that
improvement.
power play ended. Yeah.
And they couldn't get the puck out. Good job keeping it in, and then Perron makes a great play, and he was brought in for moments like that. So you look at it from that perspective, and Perron signed for one more year. Earlier this season, people were like, how do you give this guy a 2-year deal? And now you're looking at it like, okay, with the cap going up, like that's very reasonable. And I think it also helps in the room knowing that they're going to have David Perron back, because there's some other veterans who are UFAs. We really hope Claude Giroux's back on a team-friendly deal. He's probably not going to be able to play on the top line next year if the Senders want to be better. But I think Claude Giroux showed that he can still contribute. Yeah, he did not have the best series in the faceoff dot, only 45%. He's second on the team in points, tied with Tim Stützle at 5 points in 6 games, Pillsy. So
yeah,
the old vet showed that he can still bring it in clutch situations, getting a huge assist in last night's game as well.
Claude Giroux is coming back to the Ottawa Senators next year. Like, it would be crazy for him to leave now after the first 2 years did not go at all the way he probably envisioned. And then he sees the vision, he sees the new ownership, new management, new coaching staff, new players being brought in. Like, now the recipe for success is right there. So for him to leave after this year, it wouldn't make much sense to me. We talked about it. It would have to be on a more team-friendly deal than his original contract. But I think now with a young family, being in the area that he wants to be in Ottawa, seeing that this team can do it, I think we're going to see him re-up 1-year deals and see how things going. I don't think, Ross, we'll see Claude Giroux in another jersey for the rest of his career.
I hope not, man, because he is one of those glue guys and showed that he can still produce. I mean, with all the talk that he had slowed down, and a lot of it was fair at times this season. He wasn't the same player offensively that we had come to know in the past. Wild, he scored a career high in goals his first season in Ottawa at 35 years old, but he was still 5th on the team in points, 4th among forwards. Like, he still has game left, and
he would have played every single game if he wasn't health bombed. So, like, this guy's still got game. He's still showing up night in, night out. So for the people that are calling for the end of Giroux in Ottawa, I can't comprehend that.
I think a third line next year of Pinto, Gregg, and Giroux would be very good. Be very good.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is that's not going to be your complete shutdown line like
True.
It is with the Mario there. So that's interesting. But yeah, I do think, and we're going to get to this later, but I do think a top priority for Steve Staios and the Sens is going to be to find a pure goal scoring top 6 guy. Like, that top 6 still is not where you need it to be, unfortunately.
No, and one thing I'll say about Fabian Zetterland, who had 0 goals, 0 assists in this series, did shoot, but production is what you get paid for. it's going to be so fascinating to see him as an RFA, where he fits, everything about him. But one thing I will note about Fabian Zetterland is when he got traded mid-season last time from New Jersey to San Jose in the Timo Meier trade, he had 0 goals in 22 games with San Jose and then popped off for 24 next season. So, and you could see that just watching him play. You can see that he has offensive capabilities and he plays the game hard, but you get paid to produce, and it was zeros across the board. So that's unfortunate. And he averaged over 13 minutes a game. I know he was put down in the fourth line for large parts of the series, but that's going to be another fascinating storyline. But storylines will be at another day. We've got more series takeaways, and I know we're kind of all over the board, but I feel like that's how Sens fans are today as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. But one more thing on the series as a whole, Ross, is, and I want to get your opinion on this. Did it surprise or disappoint you, the lack of hate in this series? Like, we really thought, okay, Battle of Ontario, there's the Ridley Gregg discussion. The Leafs and their fan base obviously hate this guy. There's Brady Tkachuk going to be a physical force in this game. There's obviously just the provincial geographical connection. There's the playoff history deep into the early 2000s. The fan base is clashing. Like, for all that kind of blood boiling, it kind of fizzled out, and we didn't even see any fights, any crazy chippiness. Like, even after the whistle, there's the skirmishes, obviously, but as far as like total hate meter, this series was probably one of the lower ones in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, does that
Florida,
surprise you?
Yeah, Florida, Tampa, number 1. Probably Winnipeg, St. Louis, number 2. Washington, Montreal had some hate to it. Yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot of it. And that was a bit surprising.
But do you think that maybe was a disadvantage for the Sens? Because I thought that would have been an advantage, is get under these high-profile guys' skin, frustrate them with the physical play, get them off their game. And yeah, I mean, unless you want to talk about Nick Cousins firing pucks at Anthony Stolarz during warmups, there really wasn't that kind of gamesmanship.
They had a hilarious exchange, I'm sure, like in the handshake line. I saw they pulled each other aside for a second. I wonder if Cuzzy's like, "Hey, can you transfer me?"
Yeah.
That was cool.
Take me out for a dinner at least. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. I actually have a take on why there was less hate in this series. I'll get to it next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. The Stanley Cup Playoffs are here, and if you've never been to a live NHL playoff game, it's unlike anything else. Take it from me. I had my first experience this year, and it was awesome. The intensity, the speed, the energy in the building is next level. And thanks to Game Time, getting the door is easier and more affordable than ever. I actually had quite a few fans come up to me and say, "Hey, heard you're talking about Game Time on your pod. That's how I got my tickets." So join them and getting playoff tickets. Prices actually drop as puck drop gets closer. With last minute deals, you can end up saving up to 60%. And not just for sports guys, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Turn on the all-in pricing feature so you can see the total cost up front. None of those nasty surprise fees at checkout. And the app will show you panoramic seat view so you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. And with Game Time ticket coverage, I know I'm protected. Whether it's cancellation protection, job loss insurance, or their 24-hour return guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
All right, Pillsy, I think I have the answer. You mentioned, why is there not as much hate in this Battle of Ontario as we saw in the early 2000s when the league was a bit of a different animal, and this season, and I'll say the penalties in Game 1. Ottawa realized that they cannot put Toronto on the power play, and I think that kind of affected at least some extra stuff that maybe if they thought they could get away with, maybe they would have a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, the special teams was a huge factor in this game, whether it was the Leafs power play dominating at the start of the series or the Sens penalty kill figuring it out in games 4 and 5 and scoring shorthanded goals in both of those. So that certainly does have an effect on how much you're willing to push the line for either team.
Yeah, and then when they did, like Ridley Gregg on Mitch Marner in game 4, like, or was that game 4 or game 5? Game 5, because then they got the shorty on that kill. They were getting called. So I just think that kind of takes away a little bit of it. And the Leafs don't really have a guy who's going to start it either. So it would have just kind of felt like one team's always the initiator, and maybe you get called a little extra for that. But I think if the Leafs power play starts out 0 for 6 in game 1, or 0 for 4, and they don't call a couple of the halfway ones, maybe it's a bit of a different feel in the series. But I do think that definitely benefits the Toronto Maple Leafs, who thrive off of stretch passes. They thrive off of a high finishing rate, and they're a super gifted offensive team. There's nothing you can say to take away from that. And their big boys showed up. Matthews with the power play goal, William Nylander doubling the lead. Yeah, unfortunate that Ottawa wasn't able to score one extra goal, really, and bring this game 6 to overtime, because I think the hockey world got robbed of a game 7 in Toronto, where the pressure would have been unbelievable. So it's unfortunate, didn't get there. You got to give credit to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They win this series in 6 games, and they're on to take on the Florida Panthers. I know that the Tkachuk family very supportive of Brady. I saw Chantal and Keith were at the game, or we saw Chantal on TV. I'm not sure if Keith was there, but they're obviously devastated for Brady. But that would have been tough for them, having to see Brady and Matthew go head to head.
Yeah, especially with, let's be honest, how that series probably would have gone.
There would have been hate in that series. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be impossible not to. You got 2 greasy lineups going up against each other, and a team in Florida that literally has big brother dynamics, back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, the reigning Stanley Cup champions that added grease to their lineup with Brad Marchand. And if they would have faced the Ottawa Senators second round, things could get very ugly very quickly. So look, obviously I would have rather the Sens get to overtime, win that game, bring it to game 7, embarrass the Leafs, and do the reverse sweep. That would have been a dream come true. But Ross, part of me, I hate to admit it, is a little relieved that the Ottawa Senators aren't going to have to go up against that Florida Panthers team.
Yeah, I mean, get your FanDuels in now at plus 450 for Panthers in 5 games. I will be taking part in that as a hate watching journey. And for people saying, "Oh, you're not supporting Canadian teams," love to see the Jets win the cup.
Yeah, go Jets.
Be happy for the Oilers to win the cup. Yep. I don't really care if the Sens are the team to snap the Stanley Cup curse. Like, obviously, now that they're out of it this year, be happy for the Jets, be happy for the Oilers. But if you think we're cheering for the Leafs
or Habs,
holy smokes, like, no chance. So Cats in 5 will be my official prediction for the series, and we'll see how, because if the Leafs power play can click, and if Florida takes undisciplined penalties, that's one thing. But I like the Cats in that series quite a bit. Not to mention they played with Stolars for a year or two, so I think it was just a year, but
a year.
I think they might know a thing or two about how to light him up. I mean, his rebound control is questionable all series. The Leafs just do such a good job of boxing out in front of the net that there's not really second opportunities. They showed one where Brady was trying to get to the net, and Ekman Larson just did not let him go anywhere near the goal, and the puck squirted out, and it's out of harm's way. So I think the Leafs deserve a lot of credit for their ability to keep guys away from the dirty areas in front of the net. And Ottawa still was able to get there and score some greasy goals. Batherson's goal, Gaudette's goal, high tip, Brady's goal, tip in front of the net. So they did find ways to take advantage of that, just not enough. So Senators lose this series 4-2. But if you're a Senators fan, just hold your head high after this one. It's the first of many playoff experiences for this core. I still can't get over Tim Stützle being 4th in the league in hits right now. In 6 games,
I never would have guessed that.
34 hits in 6 games. So if you're calling him soft as an NHL fan, you simply did not watch Tim Stützle play in this series. That guy is a superstar, and the best is yet to come for him. 5 points in 6 games in his first playoff experience. Pilsy, how will you look back at what we just saw the last 2 weeks?
I mean, it's just nice, Ross, to have more new playoff memories to pull from, right? Like it was getting old talking to Sens Central citizens, being like, which playoff series 8 years ago was your favorite? Like now, I don't think this will be anyone's favorite, but it was a thrilling series, lots to be proud of. I'll look back at this as the first step in this new era, in this new chapter of Ottawa Senators history, because I think the hockey world took notice that the Senators' future is bright, that they went down, but they pushed back, that their top 3 players, the lottery boys, are exactly, if not ahead of where they are expected to be in their careers in a short time. They're locked up to good contracts for a long time as well. So I'll look back at this as a great first step in what is turning the page on the rebuilding years.
And that is just it. It's a step. And now we're going to have to sit down and wait until September, when training camp usually opens the second week of September. There'll be plenty of roster moves between now and then. There'll be the NHL draft, which we will dive headfirst into, unless the St. Louis Blues somehow make the conference final. The Ottawa Senators will draft 21st overall at the NHL entry draft. If St. Louis does make it to the conference final, the Senators pick would move up to 20th, but I wouldn't count on that to happen. Even if they get through Winnipeg somehow and win the next 2 games straight,
up against Colorado or Dallas, or
Colorado is waiting for them in the next round. So expect the Senators to draft 21st overall in Los Angeles, and they're going to get a good player there. And the Senators, I believe they will keep this pick. I saw Shmuel Bulka and a couple others online saying, hey, man, I think that they should give it up. They're in the 20s. Like, just give up the punishment. I think Michael Andlauer is still convinced that somehow he can talk them down and get a lesser penalty. And I think they're going to keep that pick. They also don't have the deepest top end of their prospect pool. I think whoever they draft 21st is going to be slotted in at 2 or 3 on their prospect list. We'll do our full prospect list later this summer. Lots of moving parts. And there's still 2 prospects that are still playing right now. Jabril Toure in the ECHL, and more notably, Blake Montgomery with the London Knights. So we'll be keeping track of all that throughout the next while. As I mentioned, Monday we'll have the breakdown of what we hear from Steve Staios and the Ottawa Senators on locker cleanout day on Saturday. And then we'll turn our page to season reviews for players, discussions on what to do with restricted free agents, unrestricted free agents, maybe players to target who could come in and help the Senators this offseason. And we'll keep an eye on the Stanley Cup playoffs, of course, right here on Locked On Senators. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show? I know you gave your thoughts on the series, but anything else on your mind?
Well, yeah, you just basically ran through our whole content calendar for the summer. So trust us, guys. We're going to have lots of great content. We're going to dive into deep conversations. And as Locked On Senators podcast fans know, the offseason is where Ross and I like to consider ourselves at the top of our game, finding creative ways to keep everybody engaged. So I'm excited for that. It's sad that the playoffs is over for the Sens, but we do have a good time in the offseason. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay. Final question for me is...
Question?
Yeah, it's a question. Final thought. Questionable thought? Thought in the form of a question?
I'll decide whether it's questionable.
Okay, good. What do we do with the playoff beards now? Is this like a shave of shame where we have to fully go babyface again to be like, all right, this is as far as the playoff beard got, so now we got to fully shave it? Or is it just back to business as usual, just trim it up? I got to trim this top part, there we go. Simone is on my case to get rid of this little extra piece here, but I said razors away. The neck is getting a little out of control, so I'm excited to clean things up a little bit, so I'm not as scroungy around the house now.
I also, and it feels like the Ottawa Senators have been playing playoff games since the trade deadline, since March 1st when we made that bet. I have not gotten a haircut since.
Me neither. But look
the
at your
buzz
hair
cut.
compared to mine. Your beard and your head on the hair on the top of your head. What are you on, biotin gummies or something? Like, what's the secret to this hair growth?
Orange juice, baby. A little vitamin C.
Orange juice. Okay.
Is it vitamin C that helps hair growth?
I don't know. I thought it was biotin. Now we're getting into the weeds health conversation wise.
Vitamin C plays a beneficial role in promoting healthy hair growth and reducing hair loss by supporting collagen production and aiding in iron absorption. There you go.
Okay. All right. I'll get on the orange juice.
Yeah, I like
maybe I'll go to the Sunshine State and drink some orange juice while watching the Panthers take on the Leafs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I'm gonna hate watch the heck out of that series. That's it for us today, man. Little bio lesson at the end of the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Truly citizens, everydayers, making us your first listen. We appreciate you guys so much being with us on this journey. The views, the downloads, everything's been insane. We got Glebe Central Pub back on an annual renewal. We cannot thank them enough as well. Club EG, get out there, golf, throw us on the headphones, and go swing the wrenches and have a great summer, everyone. Like, it's weird though, because it's not last day of school vibes. Like, we're back Monday.
It's new semester vibes.
Boom. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. Be a friend, tell a friend. If you enjoyed the video, click the thumbs up below. Leave a comment. Want to hear that order of Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle. How would you rank those three guys now that you know what they look like in the playoffs and you have a lot of regular season tape to look at as well? What a run it's been. Basically, since March 1st, the Senators had lost 4 in a row, man. Going 5 in a row, actually, after the loss to Montreal and Winnipeg right after the Four Nations. And then the boys battled. They battled, and they made the city and the fan base proud. So we love that. Thank you for watching, listening, and engaging with the show again. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.